Before we begin, imagine hearing a voice from God telling you to go somewhere you absolutely do not want to go. You know what God is asking you to do. You understand the mission. But instead of obeying, you decide to run. How far would you go to escape from something God has called you to do? This is the story of Jonah, a man who tried to run from God, a man who thought he could escape God's presence, a man who would soon discover that no matter how far you run, God can still find you. This is not only a story about a great fish, it is a story about obedience, mercy, repentance, and the incredible patience of God. Long ago, there was a man named Jonah. Jonah was a prophet of God. A prophet was someone chosen to deliver God's message to people. One day, God spoke to Jonah. God told him to go to a great city called Nineveh. Nineveh was a powerful and important city. But there was a serious problem. The people of Nineveh had become extremely wicked. Their evil had become so great that God had decided to confront them. God said to Jonah, "Go to Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come before me." Jonah heard God's command. He knew exactly what he was supposed to do. Go to Nineveh. Speak God's message. Warn the people. But Jonah did not want to go. And this is where the story becomes very interesting. Why didn't Jonah want to go? Jonah knew that God was merciful. He knew that if the people of Nineveh listened to the warning, turned away from their evil ways, and asked God for mercy, God might forgive them. And Jonah did not want that. Nineveh was not a city Jonah wanted to help. So instead of going toward Nineveh, Jonah went in the opposite direction. He traveled to a place called Joppa. There he found a ship preparing to sail toward Tarshish. Jonah paid for the journey and climbed aboard. He was running away. Jonah was not simply traveling to another city. He was trying to escape the mission God had given him. He probably thought that if he could get far enough away, he could avoid doing what God had commanded. But Jonah was about to learn an important lesson. You can run from a responsibility. You can run from people. You can even travel across the sea. But you cannot run away from God. The ship began sailing across the sea. At first, everything seemed normal. Jonah probably thought he had succeeded. He had escaped. He was on a ship. Nineveh was behind him. But then something happened. God sent a powerful wind across the sea. The waves became enormous. The storm grew stronger and stronger. The ship was being thrown around by the waves. The sailors became terrified. They were experienced sailors, but this storm was different. They knew their lives were in danger. They began throwing cargo into the sea to make the ship lighter. Everyone was fighting to survive. But where was Jonah? Jonah was below deck. He was asleep. The captain went down and found him. He shouted, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God!" The sailors began trying to discover why this terrible storm had come upon them. They cast lots, believing this would reveal who was responsible. The lot fell on Jonah. The sailors looked at him. "Tell us," they demanded. "Who are you? Where do you come from? What is your country? What people do you belong to?" Jonah answered them. He told them that he was a Hebrew and that he worshipped the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. Then Jonah admitted the truth. He told them that he was running away from God. The sailors became even more afraid. They asked, "What have you done?" Jonah told them that the storm had come because he was running from God. The sea became more violent. The sailors asked Jonah what they should do. Jonah knew the answer. He said, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea." The sailors did not want to do it. They tried to row back toward land, but they could not. The storm became even stronger. Finally, the sailors cried out to God. They asked him not to hold them guilty for Jonah's life. Then they took Jonah, and they threw him into the sea. Immediately, the storm stopped. The sea became calm. The sailors were amazed. They realized that the God Jonah had spoken about was truly powerful. They feared the Lord and worshipped him. But Jonah was now alone in the sea. The waves surrounded him. He was sinking. It looked like the end. But God was not finished with Jonah. God had prepared something extraordinary. The Bible tells us that God provided a great fish to swallow Jonah. Jonah was swallowed by the great fish, and for 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah remained inside it. Think about that moment. Jonah had run from God. He had boarded a ship. He had entered the sea, and now he was inside a great fish. There was nowhere else to run, no distractions, no escape, just Jonah and God. And inside that darkness, Jonah prayed. He cried out to the Lord. Jonah remembered God. He realized that even though he had disobeyed, God had not abandoned him. Jonah's prayer was a prayer of desperation, but also a prayer of faith. He acknowledged that salvation belongs to the Lord. Then God commanded the fish, and the fish vomited Jonah onto dry land. Jonah was alive. God had given him another chance. But the story was not over. God was about to give Jonah the same command again. Go to Nineveh. This time Jonah would have to decide. Would he obey, or would he run again? And that is where part 1 ends. But Jonah's greatest challenge was still ahead. Because sometimes God gives us another opportunity after we fail. And the question is not whether we have made mistakes. The question is whether we are willing to obey when God gives us another chance.